Am I live? Do you see me? I should be live. Hey everyone, it's your girl Curvy Lady T here on the Curve Unplugged. Finally, it's been a rough 2 weeks trying to get me to go live. I'm not very technology savvy, and so this was a whole new platform for me to start using so that you all can see me. You see my shirt, Jesus is my rock. That's how I roll. But as people start logging on, I'm gonna be saying a couple of things, back to back to back. Praying for Houston, praying for Houston. If you're not busy, just take a second just to pray for them, because I can imagine that it's tough. I heard that there were people who had to experience New Orleans, and once they experienced Hurricane Katrina, they went to Texas, and now here they are sometime later with the same exact thing, flooding, water everywhere. I believe that America's response this time was better, so we didn't have to deal with our fellow people feeling like refugees in their own country. So make sure you take time to say a prayer for them, because you never know what can happen. We are in Miami, and hurricanes come, and so we never know what's going to happen. So, take time, and then make sure you do some research about if you're going to donate anything to the relief effort. Make sure you do your research to find very reputable organizations who are actually going to make sure that all of the items that are collected gets to those people that are in need. So make sure you do that, do your research. But tonight on the Curve Unplugged, we have what we are titling this Self is Bae. Now, you're probably thinking, here is another woman hollering self is bae. Oh, you need to date yourself. Oh, you need to make sure that you have your own stuff together before you start looking for a man to validate you. But tonight, on tonight's show, it's not just a woman saying that self is bae. We have a young man by the name of Jarvis who's going to come on. He's going to introduce himself, Jarvis J. Lewis. And then we have, we have the single male perspective, and then we have the married perspective, all on this movement called Self is Bae. So first up is Mr. Jarvis J. Lewis.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here with Curvy Lady T, discussing with you guys Self is Bae, what it means to me as the young single male, and hopefully we all learn something from it and get some exciting, fun stuff to talk about.
Yes. All right. So from your perspective, what is Self is Bae? Like, what is it?
Self is Bae is as direct as it sounds. It's you are bae to yourself first, before you bae to anyone else. And when we are bae to someone else, we love them, we like them, we think about them, we care about them, and we do our best to be on our best for them. So it's just about recognizing and acknowledging that we have to first do that for ourselves.
Right.
We have to show up for ourselves first. We have to like ourselves first, or at least learn to, love ourselves and like who we are, learning who we are, dating ourselves, asking ourselves those questions.
But you don't think it sounds a little feminine for a man to be saying, yo, myself is bae? Like, you don't think it sounds a little feminine?
I think, you can
come on, Jarvis,
add those, those things to it. But, when I coined the term self is bae, it's just, bae is universal. Your girl is your bae, your dude is your bae. So we're all baes to somebody or wanting to be. So acknowledging that self is bae isn't about it being feminine or not. It's the fact that we're bae.
We're bae.
We're bae.
So you are bae to yourself.
Absolutely. First and foremost.
So tell me, right, with you being bae to yourself, how did you come, you coined the term, right? That self is bae.
Mhm.
But what happened in your life? Did you get your heart broken? Like, what happened to make you say, you know what? Forget this. I'm just gonna date myself.
Oh man, it has to be some tough stuff to happen in your life to want to say you want to date yourself. But honestly, for me, I realized that I was in a cycle with a lot of the relationships that I were in. I was dating different women, but they were the same spirits, they were the same patterns, the same behaviors, and it was ultimately the same outcome. So
Which was what for you? Like, what kind of outcome were you getting?
A lot of putting myself out and not really getting in return everything that I was really putting out. And it's because I was sowing into empty places. And it's not really about the women that I were dealing with. I had to be honest with myself and say, all right, all of these relationships kind of have this familiarity to it. So everything kind of just feels the same. So I realized it's not them, it's me. So I had to really look in myself and realize what was going on, things that happened to me in my childhood that maybe define the reasons why I do the things that I do, why I look for the certain things that I look for in women, why I respond and treat and talk to women the way that I do. I had to really dig deep within myself first to realize why I'm doing those things.
Okay, so you dug deep, and as you began digging deeper and deeper and deeper, you said what to yourself?
That before I can get into a healthy relationship with anyone else, I have to first be in a healthy relationship with myself.
Say that one more time. Say it with a little bit more like passion behind that thing, because most times you hear women speak to themselves and to other women, and then sometimes you hear men speak to women about the idea of dating themselves and getting to know themselves, but you never really hear young men talk about the fact that, I need to take a break and I need to date myself. So say it one more time, but say it good. Say it, put a smile. You say you're smiling. Say it.
So I realized that before I can have a healthy relationship with anyone else, I must first have a healthy relationship with myself. I came to the conclusion that we do not attract what we deserve. We attract who we are. So in my life cycle of relationships, I was attracting broken and battered and bruised women, but that's who I was. And I could never have a fully healthy, functioning relationship with them because I didn't have that functioning, healthy relationship with myself.
Whoa.
So I had to be mature. I had to be very honest. And honestly, it hurt to be that honest with yourself.
Right.
To look at yourself objectively and say, okay, this isn't healthy. This isn't good. You are tripping. There's some things that you just absolutely need to change, remove, get rid of. And that's what I had to do for myself.
So what did that journey look like to you? Like, you had to remove some stuff. Like, what were you letting go of? What did you let go of, Jarvis?
Oh man, you're really bringing it.
I'm bringing it. What did you, because this is the Curve-Unplugged, and we talk, like, we're talking real stuff. So there's somebody out there listening. There's a man, even there may be a woman that's listening who hasn't come to the conclusion, but by the end of this conversation that we're having, may be able to come to the conclusion that, wait a minute, like, got some unhealthy things going on inside of myself, and self needs to be bae. So, like, what did that look like for you? Like, what did that feel like for you? Let's talk about these feelings and emotions. Like, what did it look like?
Okay. So, before I even get into that, I must say that in any type of transformation, transparency is key. It's the seedling to all transformation. So I would be doing you guys a disservice if I wasn't transparent with you guys, with my story, how I came up with everything. So that's first. What did that look like for me? Man, this journey that I embarked on started because, like I said, I had to really be honest with myself, and being honest with myself, I had to acknowledge what was there.
Okay.
And what was there was this mindset of this scarcity mindset. I would get with a woman, and I would automatically convince myself that this was the only person for me. Okay. This is the only person that would get me. This is the only person that would understand me or like me or care for me.
See, ladies, we're not the only ones, because I know some of us get in a relationship, especially as you get older, in your later 30s, and you like, oh, this the one.
Yes.
This is the one. And he looks like all the rest of the ones, but it don't matter because our clocks start ticking and our minds start going a little crazy, and we'll say, yeah, no, this the one, and we hang on to them. And Ray Ray be a mess, but it don't matter because we'll take Ray Ray being a mess because we'll have a piece of a man. But it's not just us that happens to. It happens to men too. Sorry, I just need to say that.
No, it's so true. And I don't think that is highlighted enough, because when we think about these relationships, or at least building hearts back again, we always think of women.
Right.
And we neglect the men, and it's why so many broken relationships are prevalent in 2017, because we aren't dealing with it. We aren't being healed, and we're not being honest with ourselves. And but even worse, a lot of us don't even know that there needs to be something fixed.
Okay.
So not only was I dealing with that mindset of it being a scarce options, but it was also neediness.
Okay.
I realized in my childhood, I dealt with a fear of rejection. Typical, dad stories where your dad's not there, or speaking on in school and being bullied, and relationships like that where you don't feel adequate, you don't feel like you're enough, you don't feel like you're worthy, and you have to constantly be told that you are good, that you're good looking, that you're funny, that you're cool, and it gives you this validation, and you're literally going to people and saying, tell me who I am. Show me who I am. And when they're not doing it enough, and they're trying because they love you, they care for you, but it's never enough because it's just falling into an empty place, and it will never fulfill you until you can say those words for yourself. So that's something that I had to be honest with myself, that I was a needy man. Okay. And that is a huge thing to place on someone.
That is a huge thing.
That's a huge burden.
Huge to place on someone, and it's even bigger for you to be a man. And to be honest enough to say, I was needy. I need the attention. Like, oftentimes we women feel like we're the only ones because we are bred to be nurturers. And if we're too strong, then you're too strong. Or if you're too soft, then you feel like you're weak. And so, and if you're needy, then that's a problem, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea that you can't be needy in a relationship, because there's a give and take to the idea of needing someone, especially your spouse. If you're married, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, your boyfriend. We don't, however you get down. If there's no judge, this is the Curve Unplugged, and we don't judge. We love everybody. But it's the idea that someone being needy sounds so bad, but it doesn't. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you need a person more than you love yourself, that is where the problems tend to happen, and that is where selfish bae then becomes very much so important. So you talked about it. So you had to dig up some stuff.
I had to define my hurt. Ooh. What was actually hurting me? I had to define.
Are you a preacher? Because the way you listing these points, define the hurt, like hallelujah, right? Glory to you, right? You listen off these points like a preacher, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I've been told that I can sound like a preacher at times.
Right.
I kind of just accept
I see how you just lowered your voice, and you trying to put a little extra.
I don't know who's watching right now.
Oh, you don't know?
But Future Bae might be looking.
Future Bae, but I thought selfish bae.
But selfish bae, yeah, that's prevalent. That's the most pressing thing right now. So the last thing was dealing with these insecurities.
Okay.
Right. So me as a big man, I've always forced myself to believe that I was confident.
Okay. What is that? What does that mean? Like you forced yourself to believe that you were confident? Like what does that look like?
So I took nonchalance as a form of confidence. Okay. I had to force myself to not care about the things that I was hearing about myself, the things that I would even tell myself. I just stopped caring. And that looked like confidence to other people. Oh, Jarvis, you don't care what nobody think. Oh, you just do your thing, yada, yada, yada. But on the inside, I'm crying. On the inside, I'm hurt. On the inside, I'm devastated. But to the world, to the public view,
Mm-hmm.
I look like someone with great confidence, and I allowed that to fuel me in thinking that I was,
Mm-hmm.
until that real humbling moment comes and exposes all of those things that you set as truth.
Right.
And a part of the insecurities I'm kind of jumping to, but this is a major part for me,
Mm-hmm.
was my view on women. As a big dude, I felt like what I had to do to prove myself as a big dude was sleep with a lot of women.
Oh.
And I did that because I felt like that was me reclaiming my man.
Oh, I thought you were going to reclaim your time.
Well,
reclaiming
I'm claiming my time is
you reclaiming your time with
I'm taking all my
selfish
time.
You taking all your time.
They
okay.
Can't get none of
they
my
can't
time
get
right
none of your time back.
We,
all right.
We took all that back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I realized that my view on women changed. And I feel like if I was going to ever have a long lasting forever babe, that I wasn't going to be able to look at her in those eyes.
Okay.
And so I had to cut off my sexual ties with women. And
so you had to, this is the Curve-Unplugged. And I feel like you just went into, you were speaking in code. So what does that mean? You had to cut off your sexual ties. Like, what does that look like?
Oh man, what does that look like?
What that
means no sex with these women. Not just sex, no porn, no, none of that. Nothing. Not a nothing.
It's a desert.
Oh my God, it is the hardest thing ever, y'all.
It's a desert.
I'm not gonna even come to y'all and pretend like I like it, because I don't. I would have never came up with that decision.
God bless you.
But I know
the man who is strong enough to say that, I let my need to reclaim a piece of myself as I gave myself away to the women, that a part of that meant that you had to give up all things sex. Masturbation.
That too. Good God.
You gave up. Wait. So you gave up masturbation.
Yes.
Gave up pornography. Gave up sex. You look hurt. Can we say a moment of silence? Can we have a moment of silence and prayer for this young man?
If you listening, y'all keep me lifted in prayer.
Let's keep this young man
keep me lifted,
lifted in prayer, because
it's tough.
It seems a little rough, because our viewers are saying like poor man, but I can understand that you need to be able to gain control over your flesh. Is
that's what it's about. It's about disciplining myself.
Okay, so it's not just about the sex. It's more so about discipline.
Yes. That's a key thing about it. It's about discipline.
Okay.
Because I was out there.
You was out there. Which is you know what I believe that this is almost, I don't even know the proper way to say it, but it's almost messed up. The fact that as a curvy girl, we look, or it's often misconstrued that curvy girls don't get it. But how do you want me to define you? A curvy man, plus man?
I'm just a big dude.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that. I don't want to be
big and
curvy,
sexy.
Big. Yeah.
Okay, as a big and sexy man that you could just go sleep with all these women, and it's not frowned upon, or people don't look at you sideways. They expect that you're going to get it.
Right.
And us curvy women, if we were out there trying to get it in, one, they wouldn't think that we were getting it as much. But I think that's very interesting. I see we have the viewers are commenting, saying that it's very important that self-control is important as a form of discipline, especially if you're trying to find yourself between the legs. A big handsome man is what they saying.
All right now.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Just
Selfish
bay, a little self-control.
You see, discipline, focus. You got it's a work in progress.
Yes.
But we've been sticking to it.
You've been sticking to it.
Yeah.
All right. Self-control is very much so hard. I've been celibate for a while. Right.
Mm.
So you have a celibate man. He just did. You ever been to church and then the pastor say something good, and then you can't do nothing. You just wave your hands, and he just waved his yes. As a celibate woman, I know that it is it's hard for women to be celibate, especially when you want to be so out of control and you want to find comfort in what happens when we orgasm, and it's a sigh of relief that happens. But what I've learned even in this process of, because I would have never coined it self is bae, but it sounds so catchy and it sounds so cool. It's going on a t-shirt. If you want a self is bae t-shirt, make sure
and dad hats.
And dad hat.
Dad hats.
What is that? What is a dad hat?
Little trendy, little curvy hats that everyone's wearing now.
So you want self is bae on the hat too? You just want it all. We want it all. You're right. It's 2017. We want it all. We are, like my sister said, we are unapologetic in this year. So if you want to wear a dad hat that says self is bae, if you want a t-shirt that says self is bae, then make sure you look up Jarvis J. Lewis. That's your Facebook?
Jarvis J. Lewis. JHARVIS J. Lewis.
So your mama just wanted to be so
extra.
So extra,
but I appreciate the extraness. I embody it.
You embody the extraness.
I embody the extraness.
As a big plus handsome man.
As a big plus. Very handsome man.
Speaking of men.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
My question is, as you sound like you have gotten yourself together, right? You're young. Why do you think that it's so hard for men to get to this point? Like, why is it so hard for men to get themselves together?
Wow. That is a fully loaded question.
It is loaded like a pistol.
I think the first thing is it's rooted in our natural upbringing.
Okay.
We are conditioned, especially now, to devalue relationships. We are conditioned to, look at women in an objectifying manner. It's more about possession than it is, relationship, getting to know them. So those factors all play into it. The music, who we look up to, who we're listening to, all of those things. And we kind of go into that world thinking that that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
That is our assignment as young men, to go out into the world and sow our royal oats. That's just what it is. And then you get to this point when you realize that all of it is the same. It gets very boring. And I remember one point in my life when I had more women to juggle than, I had a lot on my plate.
Okay.
But I felt the most lonely.
All the women, and you still feel lonely.
Felt so lonely.
Okay.
There was no connection. There was no real thing. And I realized that something had to change.
Okay.
And I think some men will get to that point when they realize that, all right, this is getting tired. This is getting
But at
old.
what point is that? Because we have women out there. We all know that women mature a lot faster than men. And sometimes women get to the whole self is bae ideal within themselves a lot faster than men. So, why, what are women supposed to do if they reach self is bae first, and then you have men who don't reach self is bae until they're 40?
Well, I think when you look at it from that standpoint, I'm about to bring the Bible in a little bit, but from a biblical standpoint,
so churchy.
a woman's her job isn't to find. Her job is to be found.
Okay.
Her job is, and she needs to be in position to be found.
So what is because I feel like you're getting ready to preach a sermon. So what does that look like?
So what does that look like? That is self is bae. When you are in a position to be found, you have your stuff together. You are a self-aware, self-sufficient, assured woman. You know who you are, you know what you want, and you aren't settling for the frauds that will come.
Yes, because there are frauds out there. They really are. I encountered one myself. A good fraud.
And some of them are real good. I used to
real
be the
good.
best of them.
Oh, you were the best of the frauds?
I mean, my
you
talk game was
side
very
eye.
serious.
You about to get the side eye, sir.
But hey, we have to be honest here,
Yeah, I see. I
And
see.
I was some of the best fraud, one of the best frauds you can imagine. You know,
Okay.
I knew how to get in your skin. I knew what it was to be in your position. You know, I did a lot of studying. I did a lot of reading. I took women. Most men. This is a little side note. Women, y'all jot this down. Most men look at women as art. Some men look at women as science. And when you look at women as science, you can understand their patterns. You understand that behaviors are patterns, and you understand the cognitive process of feelings, behaviors, and thoughts. And you start to break those things down. And you start to experiment. If I do this, she would do this. If I elicit this emotion, this action will come. And that's what some of the best frauds do. They know you better than anything. They can get inside you better than anyone can, and you feel comfortable with them. You feel, oh, this must be the one, because he has you feeling and thinking ways that you've never really felt or thought before. But when you are grounded and you're in that position to be found, you have something called discernment. And you will know, you will be able to tell when you're patient enough with yourself, who's who, and who, you know, who's this, who's faking it, who's flaking it, and who's really here to do with it. But what does that look like for a man? Or at least the original question of why does it take so much, you know, why does it take much longer for men to get to that point? Another portion of it is men's greatest fear is our inability to provide. So when we don't have ourselves together financially, emotionally, all the other alleys that are there, we're not going to commit. We can't. We don't want to put ourselves in a position to fail.
But we as women don't want to put ourselves in a position to fail, or we don't want to encounter a man who, you know, is going to be a fraud like your former self. So then where does that leave us, though? Like, where does that leave women? Because now it sounds like we have men and women on two different pages. And just from your perspective, like how then do we set it up so that most men and most women, or some men and some women, because you know we can't lump everybody into the category, because not all men are dogs. You know, not all curvy women or big handsome men are desperate, because we're not. So we don't want to just lump people into just one big old category. How do we get men and women, because I'm young and you young, right? How do we get them on the same page? Because, you know, we have the young man perspective, but we get ready to get a young married perspective about the idea of self being bae, and how she was able to even come to that within herself. So, you know, we're going to start with this young man first, and then we're going to switch it up. You know, Jarvis will still be here chiming in, commenting on with any questions. So if you have any questions, please make sure you're typing in your questions, that you're sharing the post, so that, you know, everybody can chime into this conversation. Also, don't forget to follow our page on YouTube, The Curve-Unplugged. Follow us, share the page, like the page. We have a lot of interesting things coming up, and you do not want to miss out. So back to the question: how do we get men and women on the same page? Just from like what have you noticed or discovered about the idea, or have you discovered, or is it something that's a work in progress? Like, what is it?
I do believe that is a work in progress, but I think the first step is just bringing people to awareness. They have to be aware of where they are, who they are, and what they are. That's the first step. And if you can't get them to that awareness, they're not going to be ready. You just need to move on and you know, go to the next thing. But I think that's the key element in the beginning of that process of Self-Is Bae is about being self-aware of who you are. And I believe once we get more people aware, once we get more people enlightened to that truth, that you have to be, you know, in a kind of like courting yourself, dating yourself first before you put yourself in a position.
But don't that get lonely? Because I like movies, I like books,
you know,
I like shopping, but that gets a little lonely.
It can, and you know, Self-Is Bae isn't even about you doing it by yourself, in a sense of, you know, you can still have friends. You know, you don't want to cross those lines. You want to make sure that you're disciplined enough to do things. If you're going to have your, you know, your barriers, and you're going to have your your walls and your guards that you need to have up so you can protect yourself. But at the same time, you still need to learn to go out on your own, go to the movies. Yes, it's an unpopular thing to do.
Right.
If we all feel awkward, we don't want to go to the movies by ourselves, because that's a place that you normally go in a social environment with other people.
Right.
But go to the movies to yourself. Take yourself out to dinner. Find things to do that you like to do. A lot of people are doing stuff they don't even like.
Right. Well, one thing I want to add to it, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But one thing I want to add to it is the idea that taking yourself to the movies, if that's what you like to do, cool. But I would add, go to a place that requires you to be social. Because it sucks to be on this whole selfish bay journey and all you're doing is entertaining yourself, but you have not built your social skills. I think Shantae was saying that self-awareness is hard. It is hard when you're trying to do it by yourself.
Right.
But if you get yourself a support team, I was raised old school. If you get yourself your own little village, then it won't be as hard, and you won't feel like you're the only one going through the journey by yourself. I believe that when people go to NA and AA and all the alphabets, BA is bachelor's, but when they go to the alphabet place in order to seek help, they have group meetings and they have a sponsor.
Yes.
So I feel like even on this whole selfish bay journey, that even when you're dating and you're courting yourself, that you go out there and you be social. Go to social places that require you to be social, but make sure you're not doing it by yourself, that you have a legitimate support system. So what you're telling me, for men and women to get on the same page, right? There has to be self-awareness.
Yes.
Right? You have to make sure that you're having fun, dating yourself and being social.
Yeah. It shouldn't be a depressing journey.
Right, it should not be a depressing journey. So what would be one more last thing that you would suggest that will help men and women get on the same page?
One more thing to suggest.
One more thing.
To get them on the same page.
Wait, we have a question. So the question is, so I need an ABC group to get myself to being more self-aware. If it takes for you being in an ABC group, then go ahead and do it. Oftentimes, we isolate ourselves on this journey to self-discovery, right? We feel like we're the only ones that can help us figure ourselves out. Sometimes we need other people to be the mirror for us. Their voice should not be louder than your voice, right? But it should be a reminder to what you already know. So if you have those real, true people around you that can tell you when your stuff smell bad, that can be honest with you and say that, yo, you tripping, right? That can go out with you, then that can go out with you to help you be social, to help you have fun, to help you get out, then go by all means. Get you an ABC group, right? It don't have to be like, no, let's sit in a meeting and kumbaya.
Until our
until our singleness transforms into a man or a woman or whatever it is that we desire. It doesn't have to be all of that, but it's the idea that says, okay, all right, so I need this group of people to help me better myself while I'm on this journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Recognize the clarity of mind and body, that I don't know how to make the comment go all the way across. I'm not going to act like, I have all the social media awareness down packed. Yeah, just make sure that you are. So be self-aware, right? Have fun.
Last one.
Yeah, last one.
The last one. We do not spend enough time learning about our opposites.
Go back to school, basically. But what happens if we say education is not for me? I'm just saying, because you have some people that may hear this and be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to study. School ain't for me. They're going to forever be ignorant, I guess, right?
They're going to forever be single, too.
Right. Oh,
they're going to forever be unhappy. If you're not willing to do those things for yourself and for your future mate, then you already disqualified yourself. So there's really no point in having a conversation. But I think we spend a lot of time, researching about what makes, as a man, what makes a man tick, what a man likes. But how many of us as men are looking into studying women and knowing what they like, knowing who they are.
Y'all see my preacher face?
And women doing
That's
vice
a good
versa.
point.
You know, we take all this advice for ourselves, but how much advice are we taking for the for the opposite sex? Or what, so that's, I believe, another thing that we can do to get everybody on the same page, understanding the psychology of men, the psychology of women.
Right, and I think that's a good point. And what I've learned through this whole journey of even, self-discovery and understanding what it means, to love myself and understand myself, was that even when you're learning and studying about men, it also depends, because say if you're a younger woman and you're dating an older man, right? That type of studying is going to be different, and what you're going to learn is, and then what it means to date somebody maybe 5 years younger, because the generational gaps are so different, and the values and morals that may work, or what may work for a man that's maybe like 45 may not work for a man that's 35, may not work for a man that's 30. If you the type, the cougar, and you want a little cub, a little baby cub, or whatever, you have to make sure that what it takes to deal with a man from that particular generation. So I wholeheartedly agree that studying the opposite sex is very, very important. As you study yourself and you become more self-aware and you learn to have fun and learn to do social things and you studying them, then, according to Mr. Jarvis J. Lewis, that men and women should end up on the same path. Because if I'm discovering who I am and you are discovering who you are, then we'll be able to meet in the middle and, have something with common understanding, making fireworks around here so that people can be, less celibate and stuff like that. Jarvis, Jarvis going to be here as they get ready to switch seats. I just want to say thank you to Jarvis for his comments about Selfish Bay and understanding what it means as a young man to get himself on the right path. I think it's always so interesting to hear different perspectives about what it is, because we're all on this journey to trying to figure out who we are, what it is that I'm so sick of this piece of hair right here. And I keep tucking it underneath this head wrap, and then it keep coming back out, and then I tuck it again, then I see it just creep back out. So I'm just tuck it one last time. Don't embarrass me. I'm live on the air. Hey, Facebook. But it's the idea that we want to all be on the same page. Now, next up, on the couch with Curvy Lady T, we have Mrs. Genevieve Carvel Harris. She's young, she's gifted, she's talented, she's motivated, and I think, the things that she may have to offer to us about being young, about me and being married, is very interesting on the whole idea of Selfish Bay. So, hey, how you doing? All right, so I kind of introduced you, right? So now you introduce yourself. Tell Facebook and Be Live a little bit about yourself before we dive into this thing of Selfish Bay from the married perspective.
Okay, so like she said, my name is Genevieve Carvel Harris, and so that means I'm married. And my husband's name is Brian Harris. Hi, honey, I made it.
We made it.
We've been married for 3 years, coming up in
October. So newlyweds.
Yeah, October makes 3 years. So, but in total, we've been together for 7 years.
Okay.
So, I'm just excited to be here. I do a lot, too much to name on here. I want to get into why we're here. Okay, but I do a lot in the community, and I'm just so happy that you invited me to be here. So let's get into this.
All right. So my question for you, you've been listening to the conversation that Jarvis and myself was having. Do you have anything to add before we dive into?
I felt like, didn't they do a good job? They did a real good job. I was sitting over there like, well, why am I here? No, I'm joking. It was just great. Everything that they said, you all need to understand and know that it's so relevant and it's so important to the actual journey of actually making it to the altar, because everyone wants to know the question, well, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? And it really does start with knowing who you are. And I wanted to say that it starts with trying to figure out if you're dateable.
Ooh, if you're dateable.
Because we're talking
So
about
you're telling me
self-respect.
that not everybody is dateable?
I believe that everyone could be dateable.
Could
but
be
if
dateable?
you will not date yourself, who's going to date you?
Woo! Said, you know, I feel real churchy today, right? Because say that one more time. Say it one more time.
If you, my lovely audience, would not date yourself, who is going to date you? And sometimes I would go as far as to say that sometimes that doesn't mean that you even love yourself fully. Because even though I've been married going on 3 years, I really think that in this last year or so of my life, that I've really begun to love myself and love me for who I am. And that's why we talk about being unapologetic. Like, this is who I am, and knowing who I am. But my husband found me in a process where I had come from a previous relationship. I had been engaged before. There's no shame in that. I had been engaged before, and I thought that that relationship was going to be it for me. And then it wasn't. And when you kind of have your life planned out, and then all of a sudden everything just drops on you, and you think that you did everything right, you have to rediscover who you are. And I realized that I had lost a lot of myself in that relationship, trying to please who I was with. And in trying to please who I was with, I lost a lot of me. I didn't even know what I liked anymore. I didn't know, to the point where when I actually started dating my husband, I started doing things that I wanted to do. People were like, oh, it's good to see you back, man. We ain't seen you in a little minute. And so Selfish Bae really is like a call to me to discover who you really are. And even if you're in a discovery period, don't think that you have to have it all together before you get married. You just have to find someone that's going to acknowledge the value of the journey and say, I'm going to walk with you the rest of the way. And when you find it, and when you find yourself, I want to be there when you make it. And that is what happened with my husband and I. Like, he just was like, you may not have it all together. I don't have it all together. But I see that you love yourself enough to receive my love, and that's what happened. So,
you gave us I guess we need a benediction after that one. You gave us a whole entire message that it touched my heart. You know, the idea that if you won't date yourself, then how do you expect someone else to date you? The idea that even while you are in the discovery process, that it doesn't mean, like, one, that you don't have to have it all together for someone else to be able to appreciate the value. For you, when you were married, where did you find yourself? Where did you find Selfish Bae before married, after you got married, or you still journeying?
I think it's all of that at the same time.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm saying. Before you even get into marriage, you have to start doing self-assessments. How's my attitude? How do I respond to things? Am I quick-tempered? Do I take care of myself? Do I like my own appearance? Some people are like, nobody wants to talk to me. Well, if you were a man, would you want to talk to you? I mean, your hair is not up to par. You know, shout out to my girl Hair by Tara. She the only one touch my hair.
Hair by Tara,
She's
shameless
the only one
plug.
that touches my hair.
She the only one that touched my hair. I know my hair is wrapped up
Just
right
saying.
now. But if you go to Instagram, she don't have Facebook, but if you go to Instagram and you search for her page, Hair by Tara, Tera, you'll be able to see, you know, how she hook us up. And if
she the only one touch my hair.
she don't even touch my
And
hair.
so
I would let
people-
my hair down, but it's a
I
little
mean,
rough.
you know, so people would say things like, oh, Genevieve, where are you going? Oh, I see you look so nice. Where are you going? And I'm like, to Walmart, to Walgreens, to whatever. Because if you don't like how you present yourself, like, nobody else is going to want to stand with you.
Okay.
Most times people always talk about a trophy wife, but some of y'all don't even look like y'all supposed to be on the bottom shelf. Let's just be real. So what? No trophies. Listen to what I'm saying. That's not even fun. Listen to what I'm saying. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about.
No, we don't.
Trophies
Explain
are
this
always,
thing. All right.
anyone who is proud of a trophy always puts it up for people to see. What I'm saying is, if someone is not proud of something, they always put it to the bottom. And if you don't make yourself look or appear as though you should be shown off, nobody will show you off. And that's what I'm saying. Like, dates are really that moment where people are showing you off because you know, are reflecting who you're with.
Okay.
And so if you don't want to take yourself out, nobody's going to want you to go out with them. They're going to say, the first thing people say is, girl, go put on some clothes.
Right. So for you, where was that? Was that in the beginning of the marriage? Was that in the before you got married?
Internally, I think I love myself, right? But I didn't want my husband to love me for any of this. So I'm natural under these bundles. I'm natural. I like weave, but I'm natural. And so my husband, I would intentionally walk around with Bantu knots and everything like that because I wanted him to love me for me, not all this, but for who I am without the makeup, without the jewelry, without all of that. So there was a part of me that valued myself enough to say, if you don't love me like this, everything that I do to make myself even more presentable is just a bonus. If you can't love me for who I am, and this is me, this is self right here. If you can't love self, who's I love this self. So if you can't love it, then you're just not even qualified.
Okay.
So then when we get married, then I really started turning up. I started doing pageants and stuff like that. So now I act like this all the time. And my husband actually misses old self, you know, the self that was bae when he was dating me. But I like this self.
So then what do you say? Because that's a good point. If you go through this evolution process of, well, let's backtrack a little bit. Self is bae is an evolution process because as you go through different phases of your life, you have to learn to love the things that you do not consider lovable. Right? If you don't like the fact of how you look with natural hair, you have to learn to love that piece of yourself, and or love yourself just as much with your afro or your puffs, you know, power to the people, as much as you love your bundles. You have to get to that place in the evolutionary journey of self is bae. But what do you do when your spouse says, but I like the old you better than I like this newfound discovery you?
You compromise. So what I do every month is I usually just give it a week in between weaves.
1 week.
And 1 week. And my husband gets so excited because he knows that week is coming. He can play in my hair as much as he wants to play in my hair. He gets to see it. I wear my natural hair all through the week. And so that just lets him know that I value you. I value the love that you have for this part of me. But at the same time, you know, I like certain things. So I do it in between my weaves. And when I get my weave, my husband is just like, it's the same person. So I love you anyways. And so that's what you do. You ask your husband if he's telling you to change who you are just because he likes it more. That may be a sign of insecurity, and that's not love. My husband doesn't care whether I wear makeup or whether I don't wear makeup. But if he was trying to tell me, no, you can't wear makeup, and he sees how happy it makes me, then who is he really trying to please? And so that self is bae mentality will transfer to the person that actually marries you and loves you, because at that point they want to see that bae is happy.
Okay.
And so that's how that works.
Okay, so Jarvis, when Jarvis and I were conversing, obviously you were here too. Right. I'm just saying. During the course of the conversation, you were right there. During the course of the conversation, Jarvis mentioned the idea of being able to take yourself out. As a married woman, should there be self is bae days where you do your own stuff and your husband do their own stuff outside of date nights?
Absolutely.
What does that look like for you?
Okay, so I like little simple things. I like to make sure that my nails are done. Even when I get my hair done, or if I just say, okay, well, honey, I'm going to go be with the girls, because that can still be like a selfish bae thing, because you just have to get away from your spouse. And I don't mean just if you're taking vacations from your husband all the time.
So you're not telling me that when I get married, then I'm supposed to be like, you know what, bae?
Not all the time.
Self is getting ready to go to Cancun without you. I can't do
You
that.
can do it with the girls.
I can do it with the girls.
He may receive it with the girls.
He may,
If
but
you
he
just
won't
trying
be
to go
receive it.
just all by yourself. He's trying to figure out, well, dang, what did I do? You
Uh-huh.
know? But really what happens is most women get in this place where they spend all this time discovering themselves, and they discover themselves to jump into a pool of whatever their husband is, and they completely lose all of that identity they just found.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, you have to make sure that there's still time that you have to spend making yourself feel good. If your husband don't like massages, okay, well then he doesn't have to go to the massage parlor with you. If he doesn't want to get his feet done, or if that's what you do, then you do it for yourself. There should still be times where you take yourself on dates, you buy your favorite things, you go to your favorite restaurants, and it doesn't have to be with your spouse. If your spouse enjoys it, then great. Y'all can do that together, make it a date night. But if not, like, you shouldn't lose love for yourself just because you got married. Like,
Say that one more
doesn't work.
time.
You should not lose love for yourself just because you got married. Oh, because I'm married now, I can't do anything that I want to do. I
Okay.
can't spend time with my friends. I can't do. That's crazy. That's jail time.
Right. That's that's what?
It's jail time.
It's jail time.
I don't
We're
believe
not
in
trying to
that,
go. Right. We're not trying.
voluntary incarceration. You need to free yourself.
Free yourself.
Date yourself.
Date yourself.
Self is still bad. Self is still bad. Can
Self
we get that?
is
Can we get that
still-
on the shirt?
That is going on the shirt.
Self is still bad.
Self is still bae.
Yes, at a
with
dad hat.
with the dad hat.
You can't be a
Travis
mom
is
hat?
right. A mom,
Just
not a
one.
mom hat.
Just one.
Like maybe like self is bae and then rhinestones.
Yeah, bling.
Bling.
All day. Bling queens. I
Bling
love-
Queens of Miami. Follow us on Instagram at the Bling Queens of Miami on IG and Facebook. Shameless plug. Well, it's not a shame. We are
We're not.
unapologetic. around here.
Unapologetic around here.
All right. So it's the idea. So you say to make sure that while you are married, that you still find time. Of course, not like I'm just gonna take. Well, if that's what you need to take a whole entire vacation for yourself because you are just that stressed out from your marriage, then you may need a little bit more than vacation.
Like counseling.
You may need counseling. You need your own ABC group.
Mhm.
So that is what is going
And
on.
can we talk about ABC groups?
Let's talk about
Okay.
let's talk about ABC groups.
Married women should
Yes.
not be in single ABC groups
Ooh!
because there are certain things. I'm not saying that you don't have single friends. What I'm saying is you're not in ABC groups with your single friends. You know why? Because you're going to hear things like, girl, you better than me. You have to go through certain things.
Right.
And so married people, just like parents, most parents don't want to talk to people who don't have kids
Because they
don't understand. Girl, I don't know why you won't just do that with a child. Girl, and then the person, even if they don't say it to you, is saying, and how many kids do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do when your child was crying all night long? It's the same thing. When you get married, you are dealing with a completely different person.
Question, because you just mentioned that married people, married women, and married men should not be in an ABC groups filled with single people.
Right.
What does that say though for people that are not married but are in relationships?
It's okay. So
So
if people who are dating want to be in ABC groups with married people, I don't have a problem. My problem is with the ratio.
the ratio.
Okay. So if you are a single woman, which means that you just aren't married yet, so you can be dating, you can be talking to somebody on your way to dating them, and you are hanging around people, you are around people that you aspire to become like.
Okay.
If you are married
Right.
and everybody's single, they may introduce you to their single cousin when your husband start acting up. That, oh girl, you don't even have to deal with this because you know the way Brandon look. You
the way,
understand?
and then Brandon be fine.
You know, and
And
they
he be a
always had
temptation.
the fine cousins
The
after you
fine
get married.
after you get
While you trying to find the fine cousins, nobody show up. That's when
Right.
your day come, and you like, no, day can't get the time of day. And then you get married, and then everybody got a fine cousin. You say, look at this devil.
right.
You know, So you want to just make sure the ratios are right, is all I'm saying. Like, if you don't want to be single, don't be a married person. Surround yourself with others, because then your husband is going to be trying to figure out why in the world you hanging with all your single friends. Are
Right.
you trying to relive
Or
the
your
80s
boyfriend trying to
or
figure out,
whatever?
or
Yeah,
your
like they get
girlfriend.
insecure about that type of stuff.
It's the Curve Unplugged. We don't discriminate. I just wanted to say that. So your girlfriend, your boyfriend,
Don't
whatever.
cause yourself unnecessary drama.
Right. So
And
make sure
so,
your
yeah,
ABC group
your
is right.
ABC group gotta, vibe with you.
Right. They have to be able to. It should not be more of anything that's not you. So if you single, right? Well, should a single person hang with or be a part of a married ABC group?
They can. What I would not say to the single person is, don't surround yourself with something that's going to make you feel some sort of way when you leave. Don't be around married people. Oh my God, everybody's talking about their husband, and I ain't no husband. If that's going to send you to depression lane, don't do that to yourself. Like, you need to hang around people who are going to say, listen, ladies, how are we doing? How are we caring about ourselves? Like, if he doesn't call back, are we empowered enough to just keep on going forward and not looking back to our past, trying to figure out why? Nobody throws something away and then just goes and searches for that. Like, that's lane cuisine or something. Like, if people are thrown away, if you had to throw people away, you have to remember you threw them away for a reason.
Right.
And sometimes we just have to live with the fact that sometimes you messed up and threw something very valuable away, but now it's in the trash.
Right.
So you have to know how to move on, and move forward. And so if you're surrounding yourself around people that you can't really reach where they are right now, like, why would you do that to yourself? You're going to make yourself feel insignificant or less than. If you go over there for wisdom from time to time, then that's fine. But stay in a group that's going to empower you and make you say, okay, as opposed to you saying, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? That the people are encouraging you, saying nothing's wrong with you. He just hasn't found you yet. Let's continue to shine like this diamond that we are. And that's what I'm saying.
Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. All right. So single people should make sure they don't, even on this journey towards self-display, should make sure that they are not completely surrounding themselves with
people who look like they got it better than them. Because most times that's what it is. People look like they have it better than them. You don't know what's going on in this marriage. You don't know what's going on in this household. You don't know what type of charades people have to put on. And even if it's wonderful, you don't know what they've endured in their relationship to get to that place. So stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop acting like nobody wants to be with you. Start looking at your life and say, well, do I want to be with me? And if not, what do I need to change about myself? Sometimes we have, like how Jarvis was saying earlier, he said, I was dating different people, but it was the same person, just a different individual. We do the same thing. If you're dating and you find that the person is treating you the same way, the common denominator is you.
right.
So you got to figure out what's going on with me that's not making me, even if I'm able to get relationships, keep them.
Right.
And why aren't they moving to a new level? Why aren't they moving to that next level if that's what you desire, if that's what you want?
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. So anything, any,
Be happy, man.
be happy. Because I was going to ask you, if you had to coin it in a phrase, if you had to give a final word to not just single people, right? But to married people who may be struggling with the whole idea of self being bae, if you had to give a word, like, what would you say to them?
Love yourself first. Love yourself first. People learn how to treat you, how to love you, how to respect you based on what you show them.
One more time.
If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't value yourself, no one else is going to do it either. They are looking at you to see what standard you're holding. Like I told my church when I was preaching, I preached too, right? I was telling my church the other day.
So we had
toys.
So it should be. I should have coined the segment like fashion,
The real preachers,
faith, and then the real preachers of the couch. I think we're gonna have the real preachers of the couch segment.
Just saying.
I'm just saying, let us know if you need us to have the real preachers of the couch, because to have the real housewives. We got real life preachers of the couch.
Yeah. But I was telling them some things when we were kids, we would get toys, and some toys you buy and you can play with them as soon as they come out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other toys that when you buy them, it says assembly is required. Whatever the people read about you is how they would then act. If you are going to be something that they can just play with and don't have to do anything,
I think that's so good.
They will.
I think
if
that's so good.
Assemble,
that's good, right?
If they have to get things together, if they have to build in order to be with you, in order to act like they're gonna play with you, then you're causing them to work. But all of that was on your box, and so what I'm saying is your box is your life. So people will do what you force them to do. So
listen, I don't know if I can handle anything else. Because
what's on your box?
What's on? Should that go on the shirt?
On the shirt. That's another.
What's on your box? What's on?
Tell us.
What's on your box? Yes, please tell us. Inbox us, message us. Let us know what's on your box, and that'll be able to help us when we have this conversation again, because it was so good that it has to be a part 2 to the real preachers of the couch.
Yes,
we're not gonna call it the real preachers of the couch. We won't call it the real preachers of the couch, because people would probably be upset. But like I said, I just want to thank Mrs. Harris for sitting here with Curvy Lady T. I want to thank Mr. Jarvis J. Lewis for sitting here as we dove deep.
Yeah, we did.
Into Selfish Bay, we uncovered a lot, and a lot of very valuable points were made. So I will leave you with this one before I leave you. Make sure you follow. Are you? You don't have. No, you was trying to get out. No,
I saw me trying to.
Yes, you saw her try to ease out. Right. She tried to Heisman. But make sure that you are following our page, The Curve-Unplugged. You can follow me on Instagram at Curvy Lady T. What's your Instagram?
It's free to the number _live. Free to live my life.
Free to live. Okay, free to live your life. The Selfish Bay.
Yes.
Jarvis, what's your IG?
_JJ Lewis LEWIS.
_JJ Lewis LEWIS on our social media handles. If you're not following all of the Curves pages, the Curve Media Group, the Curvy Cartel with K's, if you're not following the Curvy Blue BLU print, if you're not subscribed to the Curve-Unplugged, make sure you are linked, make sure you are tapped in, as we have a lot of exciting things. What we have coming up is on September 9th from 10:30 to 1:30. We have our Curvypreneur workshop, part 2, birthing your brand. So listen, this is just what anybody that wants to attend. If you go to the Curve Media Group's page, or if you type in the Curve, then you'll be able to find the Curve, our page. If you're not already following us, then you'll be able to see the link, the Eventbrite link. If you go to the link and you type in Tequa, you will get a discount. Type in TEQUA, and you'll be able to get a discount so that you can come with us as we go deep into making sure that anybody that wants to flourish as an entrepreneur will have the tools to be able to do so. So I would leave you with this. Just love yourself and be unapologetic about it, right? You don't have to apologize for loving yourself, and all will be well with you. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you to my guests. Thank you to the Curve. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 9 p. Oh, Jarvis, you wanna say bye to the people, right? Tune in next week, Wednesday, every Wednesday for the Curve-Unplugged. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. Say bye.
Bye. See you soon.